Sunrise Extra on this Wednesday. We have been watching this breaking news alert from NBC and really all of the news stations right now coming down with the transcript of President Trump's call with the Ukrainian president. So if that is more important, we totally understand. We are also streaming that on KGW.com right now.
We decided to do a Sunrise Extra topic of greatest one-hit wonders of all time. We're
I
up
know.
against
This will be viewed later by you when you want to have fun.
There you go.
So, okay, actually, the first topic we are talking about today is this reversal of the Major League Soccer League. It had previously banned any political messages like signs being waved at soccer games.
And
let's just
specifically
focus on
that
the
targeted
soccer.
the iron front signs and banners at Timbers games.
Yeah, it's those three
prominent.
arrows pointing down, and it's from
Nazi times. It was an anti-Nazi symbol, essentially, from back in the 1930s. And I'm thinking, hey, what's wrong with anti-Nazism? But the idea is they didn't want political messages at
of any kind, yes, no matter what side you're on. And it is a flag or a symbol that has been popular with the group Antifa that we've come to know in Portland with all the protests.
A divisive group.
Yes, so a lot of Timbers Army fans who were really passionate about this met with the MLS in Las Vegas. They also had a conference call with them. And the MLS reversed its ban, at least for now, on this symbol.
Through this season, through the playoffs, and then they'll revisit it during the offseason, it sounds like, to see how they'll handle it next year. I was surprised that a ruling came down this quickly. Like, the league came out and said, this is not allowed. And within a few weeks, it was like,
it's pretty unusual, right?
Back. And I would consider that a major win for members of that Timbers Army, Timbers fans in general, who made a point to make noise. And in one case, they made no noise. Remember, they were silent for 33 seconds during one of the games to bring attention to this. They had actually banned some fans from attending games. Again, all that, for the time being anyway, cleaned up by Major League Soccer. Now they're saying, that ban has been lifted, and you can, I would assume tonight we're going to see lots of those iron front symbols again.
They play New England, tonight at 7:30. It is pretty surprising. I mean, you always hear majors, the NFL, the NBA, I mean, they stick hard by code of conduct policies and things like that, so it's pretty unusual to go back on it.
I mean, this is a flip-flop. This is a complete flip-flop by the MLS office.
Yes.
I was surprised that they didn't stick with their original decision, which wasn't that long ago, at least through this season, and revisit in the offseason. But clearly, they felt some pressure by probably a good chunk of what they deem to be their loyal fan base, which financially is very important to them.
I suppose maybe it was owners of these league teams. Maybe it was the owner saying, hey, can you do us a favor? Can you back off this? You're taking a big chunk out of what is part of our loyal fan base.
And again, we don't know. We don't, right? We're totally speculating.
That's what we do on the extra program,
Or
Don.
the owners or the fan base or who it was. But interesting.
Well, fans were getting banned from games. There was a couple fans that chose to knowingly, ignore that policy and wave that flag, and so they were banned for like three home games for that.
To me, the overwhelming big topic, the umbrella over all of this is, should we limit places where it's okay to politically make statements or protest.
No matter what side you're on, if you're pro-Antifa, if you think they're a terrorist organization, I mean, this is really split down the middle. We've done, just viewer polls on this. But I think it doesn't matter, like this is a soccer game. Let's all go cheer our team on. I mean, you kind of had the same outlook of like, let's keep it, about soccer.
I mean, I admit, I'm in the...
But it doesn't mean
that I'm for or against anything.
That's the
point. It just means that at some point I'm in that group of people that says, enough. Can I just get away from all the noise for 2 hours and go enjoy a day in the park? Go enjoy a soccer game. Go enjoy whatever. It doesn't mean that I don't respect people's right to protest, and ultimately I'm also in the camp that I'll respect whatever decision is made.
This is a topic we talked about before on Sunrise Extra. I think we've gone down that road before in terms of should sporting venues be a place for political activism, if you will. And it comes down to, is that a public place at that moment in time, or are those arenas private entities that we are all attending because we paid money to be there?
Well, it's obviously It's private.
Right, but I would call that like a public setting, right? I'm out in public tonight.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
But we are in somebody else's house,
Yeah.
so to speak. Someone owns that building, it's not us.
Yeah.
We're not out on a city sidewalk, on a public park.
Correct. Yeah.
So, I think I'm of the camp that, let's keep the protests out of the sports arena.
This particular topic is something that clearly shouldn't divide anybody. I mean, it seems like it's a no-brainer. This is something that it's good to stand up against.
Right.
I just want to ask our director, Brian, before we even go any farther. Are we on right now? It says broadcast interrupted when I try and watch it.
Maybe I should also try to pull up and see what happens here.
I can't tell if that's...
I feel like I'm having one of my best extra shows ever. Now you're saying that we're not even on.
I don't know if it's actually working.
It's wonderful practice, my friend. It's wonderful practice for you.
We were having some issues with Instagram.
So wouldn't our viewers answer that question if we just ask, hey, can you see us right now? Surely
Can you see me now?
pop up
Can you
and
hear me
say,
now?
we
Yes.
can or we can't.
Now I see a picture. John Davidson says the game should be soccer, not politics.
And we should win. That's been a problem this year, too.
Excuse me, I just
We
called.
need a win.
So obviously some people, you think it was maybe our broadcast was interrupted after those comments were
I don't
made?
know. Does it say that on yours?
Well,
Yeah, it does
people
say
are
that.
weighing
Frozen.
in.
Yeah,
People are
broadcast-
weighing in, so
Mine
it must
says,
be on.
yeah, but they stopped a little bit and it says broadcast interrupted and we're frozen in time on my little feed.
Are we frozen in
The
time?
fact that Byron's walking in front of the camera.
Are we frozen?
It sure looks
We're
like
trying to find out we're frozen. I don't mind being frozen. I've reached that point in my life. Being frozen might be
Paul
a good
Anderson
thing.
guy is quite the vocal
Yeah.
contributor these days.
Yeah, it's hockey season. I hear
That was
you.
the back end of his comment.
I know. We are frozen
You're
on
frozen.
Facebook.
But are we frozen on Instagram?
No, you can see us.
Oh.
Apparently, Instagram is not
Instagram is
cooperating
up.
with the way
Okay,
that
let's
I
go.
want it to work.
This is an Instagram
right.
exclusive broadcast of Sunrise Extra. Oh, Twitter's
Twitter's
up.
up.
Twitter's
All right.
working. Hi, guys.
All right, what else we know? Is that
Well, okay, so can we do
Topic?
this? Producer Jess, can we put up some of those tag board comments that we've gotten? We've gotten hundreds of comments on Facebook.
I
wow.
find this interesting.
Ginny says, I can't see you, but
Well,
she
Ginny,
can
how
hear
can
us.
you answer the question? So you
Yeah.
can hear us, Ginny, but you can't see
I
us?
think we're frozen
Well, that's
visually.
good. I'm better to be heard than seen.
I
People have
like
told
an
me this
entire
before.
Sunrise Extra program dedicated to having a technical issue, trying to figure out what the technical issue is, and you all watching us come to the bottom of this technical issue. Nope, can't see you. All right.
Okay,
You want to press forward as if we can be seen and heard by all?
let's press forward.
That's a no.
If they can hear us,
Well,
Well, the expression is, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. This thing is broken. We should stop and fix it.
yeah.
okay, so we're going to say
Okay,
goodbye?
there's more important things happening right now. Tune
Yes.
into our other stream if you can hear us. It's with NBC News talking about the transcripts released from President Trump. We will work these kinks out. We will see you tomorrow.
Here, the president of Ukraine, a
Just
small
that
country
lighting,
beleaguered
too.
by Russia, congressionally mandated weapons, $400 million are withheld just days before this call. Then the call takes place. And then only afterwards, in recent days, when this becomes explosive, is the money released.
Real quick, though, the president says, oh, the reason I withheld that money is because I'm looking for Europe to pay its fair share, and it has nothing to do with this.
And that is
Does
factually
hold water?
incorrect. Yes, the European institutions spent twice as much, $400+ million in that year, more than the $200 million provided by the United States. It's just factually wrong.
Okay, so let me turn back to Pete Williams, who has also looked at this and looked at it first, looked at it longer. But Pete, on this very narrow issue, because Andrew is talking about some of the perhaps ethical improprieties with the context and the content of this call, you mentioned that the Department of Justice was asked and referred a case that was very narrow to look at whether there was a crime here, whether the crime of a campaign finance violation was met, so whether or not the elements of a particular statute was met. But it's important to point out, they do not, in this document, see a campaign finance violation or presumably any other crime, which is different than the matter of impeachment we know.
Well, absolutely right, for two reasons. Number one, impeachment is a largely political exercise, not a legal one. So while the Constitution speaks of high crimes and misdemeanors, that's never been defined by any court. It's up to Congress to make that decision. So impeachment is a political punishment, not a legal one. Secondly, Nancy Pelosi in her remarks yesterday said that the failure of the Intelligence Committee's Inspector General to be able to communicate this letter from the whistleblower to Congress, that the Justice Department's opposition to that was a violation of the law. This is the Justice Department's answer to that. They're saying, no, it didn't violate the law. because what the law says is we pass along whistleblower complaints under this specific statute when they relate to an intel community person or activity, and this was neither. This was a diplomatic call by the president, and by the way, they said administrations of both parties throughout the years, and they cite some language from the Clinton administration and Janet Reno, have asserted that diplomatic calls are entitled to executive privilege. So for various reasons, they say it wasn't illegal to not pass this letter along, but what the point they made this morning is it didn't end there, that it went to the Justice Department and they looked at whether it was a criminal violation for the president to say this to Zelensky, and concluded it was not.
Okay, Pete, I should mention House Speaker Nancy Pelosi just said she was at the stakeout camera position outside her caucus meeting, and she said, and unclear to me whether or not this is after having heard about this transcript, but she says just now, the fact is that the president is in breach of his constitutional responsibilities, has asked a foreign government to help him in his political campaign at the expense of our national security, as well as our undermining the integrity of our elections. That cannot stand. He will be held accountable. No one is above the law. Let me go to Jeremy Bash. He was the chief of staff at the Pentagon, and as well as the CIA in the Obama administration. I am assuming you're up to date and up to speed as much as the rest of us are on what the call was about. What do you take from this?
Hey, Savannah, what's jumping off the page to me on the bottom of page 2 of this transcript that was just released is that the president of Ukraine says the following: I would like your great support in the area of defense. We are ready to continue to cooperate for the next steps to buy more javelins. Those are man-portable, anti-tank, fire and forget weapons that the United States was going to be sending to Ukraine. The president of Ukraine says, where are the javelins? Where is the defense support you're giving us? We need it for, quote, defense purposes, the president of Ukraine says. And the very next sentence by the president is, I would like you to do us a favor. It's not like different parts of the transcript. It is literally the president of Ukraine says, help us with defense, and the president says, I would like you to do us a favor. I don't think it's any more clear than that, Savannah, that this conversation was about a trade, defense support for support politically for the president.
Well, that's very interesting, because we were talking about whether there was this week or so passage of time between the withholding of aid by the U.S. for whatever reason, and then this subsequent call in which the president raises this favor that he wants the president of Ukraine to do him. But as you now acknowledge here, it's President Zelensky who very much has defense funding and purchasing of weapons on his mind, brings it up. I should mention, you said it's directly after in this document, and it most certainly is. This is not a transcript, so what we don't know is if this was right after they said that or if there was some crosstalk or small talk. In fairness to all, we don't know. By the way, we're waiting for the president, who we're told is going to be making some kind of remark on camera. I want to turn back to Andrea, because it says in this call that the president was going to ask the Attorney General, William Barr, and Rudy Giuliani, his personal lawyer, to look into this somehow. Pete talked about Attorney General Barr, according to the Justice Department, having taken no action on this whatsoever. What about Rudy Giuliani, the personal lawyer? Because he's been out on camera talking about this and what he did or didn't do with regard to Ukraine.
And sometimes in the same sentence saying, I did this because of Biden, and then in the next sentence saying, well, I was doing it for the State Department. This just last night on Fox News, and then again speaking today. He's been all over the lot. And the controversy really is from the spring through the summer. Rudy Giuliani was meeting with Ukrainian officials all over Europe and in Ukraine, and trying to drum up, first of all, the whole issue of Hillary Clinton behind the Mueller report, which has never been, there's never been a connection there. It was always Manafort representing Ukrainian interests involved with the Mueller report, but most importantly about Joe Biden. Rudy Giuliani said that he was working on behalf of the State Department to look into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's involvement in this, and he keeps raising these issues. And now the president is raising it with President Zelensky. We have a series of what now seem to not be coincidental developments. The U.S. ambassador to Ukraine forced out or resigning or fired under pressure very suspiciously during the same period that Rudy Giuliani is claiming that he's representing the State Department. What we have to get to the bottom of was, why was she forced out? Why are other key figures, the person representing Ukraine and Russian interests, Vladimir Putin's interests, very experienced, from many administrations, Fiona Hill leaving the National Security Council at the same time, John Huntsman resigning as ambassador to Moscow. There's a lot of smoke here. We don't know the facts,
Would it be
but it's...
odd? I mean, you just showed me a transcript of Giuliani recently, I think in the last day or so, saying he was acting at the behest of the State Department. I mean, in and of itself, would that be somewhat peculiar to have the
Absolutely.
president's personal lawyer
And in the
conducting some government business at the behest of the State Department?
And in the same interview, in the same sentence, he said, no, I was acting as the president's personal lawyer. That's why I have lawyer-client privilege if Congress calls me. It's one or the other. And why is he acting on behalf of the State Department? But he was empowered by a State Department envoy for Ukraine to set up these meetings. Very inappropriate, according to the congressional committees.
All right, let's go to the Hill. That's where the action is at the moment. Jeff Bennett is there. I just read a quote from Nancy Pelosi. I'm sure everyone's poring over this sort of pseudo-transcript, this hearing notes. What are you hearing, Jeff?
Well, I think the top line takeaway that the House Speaker tried to impress upon people yesterday, and she reiterated that in her comments today, is